What is up, Gundam Meisters and innovators? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are dipping our toes back into the 24th century and Mobile Suit Gundam 00. This may be my favorite Gundam AU, but it has been 15 years since I have laid eyes on this property, and there is still one AU that I have yet to watch, so that could always change. Leave a guess down in the comments on which series I haven't watched. Last time, we learned of GN particles and the GN drive. We have seen a lot of plot device-based particles throughout the world of Gundam, but the GN particles are definitely the most. This is straight up magic levels of hand-waving physics. This absolutely isn't a bad thing, however, as it seems to serve the plot even more so than Minovsky particles sometimes. We also learned of the organization Celestial Being, who wants to rid the world of war. They plan on doing this through war. The show even makes a note having some nations refer to Celestial Being as hypocrites. In this episode, Celestial Being is going on more missions to help the world reach peace. One country tries to secede from the Union of Solar Energy and Free Nations. Will the Gundam Meisters come in to help? Graham's flag also gets an upgrade and takes the Gundam on once again. Let's not waste any time and let's get into this. We ended last episode with Graham going out in his Union flag to fight Setsuna and his Gundam Exia. The two engage in battle. The flag is able to dodge the Gundam, but it is on the defensive. Setsuna goes in with his beam saber and ends this before the theme song even plays. Billy was collecting data on the Gundam while Graham fought him. Graham senses that the pilot must be young. At the news organization JNN, we are introduced to Kinoue, who is the sister of Kaji, whom we only mentioned by name so far last time. She is researching Schoenberg and Celestial Being. She wonders why he waited 200 years to make his move. At the base station of HLR's space elevator, the Gundam Meisters meet up. Setsuna is late because he was dealing with the flag. They plan on sending Gundam Virtue into space using the elevator. Setsuna isn't concerned about the Gundam getting caught. It is currently disguised as construction equipment. Tieria heads back up into space. The rest of the team heads out. As they leave, the commander of the HLR, Sergei, makes his way back from space. Meanwhile, Graham and Billy have been reassigned to the Anti-Gundam Investigative Task Force. This team will be led by Ralph Eichmann, a supporter of Celestial Being and UN Ambassador. Alejandro meets with Wang at a bar. She informs him Celestial Being's third mission will soon begin. Sergei goes to Ceylon and visits a site where a team is testing missile shells that were left by Gundam Kyrios. Their scientists mention that it is made of state-of-the-art materials. They also inform Sergei of the weird light emitted from the unit. Of course, this is the GN particles. Billy and Graham meet with Ralph Eichmann. They speculate that not only are the particles emitted used as a propulsion system for the Gundam, but it is most likely used in their weapons as well. Ralph wants to capture one of the Gundams and see for himself. Both Graham at the Union and Sergei at RLM, along with the President of the United States, are informed that the Gundams are attacking once again. It is Lock-On, taking out a bunch of workloaders. He seems really bored by the mission. In South America, Kyrios Gundam is currently doing a bombing raid. Unlike Lock-On, Alleluia is enjoying himself. Sergei is informed that a third Gundam is attacking nearby and goes out for himself in his Tieran high mobility type. It is Setsuna and the Exia, taking on a team of Tierans. He takes him out when Sergei comes in. We talked about the Tieran high mobility type last time, but here we see it in action as Sergei attempts to crush the Gundam Exia. Setsuna proceeds to take off its arm and incapacitates Sergei. Out in space, Gundam Virtue meets up with the Ptolemaeus. The CBS-70 Ptolemaeus is Celestial Being's tactical mobile suit carrier. This ship is reliant on GN particles. The ship itself does not have a GN drive. It instead uses GN particle battery packs and mainly uses the GN particles from the Gundams themselves when docked. This ship has a giant rotating docking ring, 4 for each pilot. The Gundam then docks into a docking container. There is a catapult to launch the mobile suits as well. The docking ring will rotate to the catapult, which will allow the pilot to launch from the ship. Because of the GN particles, the ship is invisible to radar. In order to contact and find the ship, you must be connected to their wide array sensors. I guess this works as an interplanetary dark web for Celestial Beings. Even if ships get too close to the Ptolemaeus, their electronics will start to malfunction. The ship itself does not have any weapons, but it does have a GN field. The GN field was created during the second generation of Celestial Being and is now being implemented. By concentrating GN particles into a small space, the particles themselves can be shaped into a shape which then can deflect ballistic weapons, beam weapons, and endure extreme heats. So they are smashing particles like mochi and stretching it over the ship. Don't think about it too much. It looks cool. It also has tools for Tieria, who is an Innovade, to communicate with Veda. Tieria acts as the hand of Veda on the Ptolemaeus. This is a rabbit hole in itself, which we will talk about much later. The Gundam docks with the ship and proceeds to give power to the Ptolemaeus. The commander of the Ptolemaeus, Sumeragi, tells Tieria that the mission was successful. Saji is heading home to his apartment. He happens to run into his next-door neighbor, who is Setsuna. Saji tries to spark up a conversation with him, but he isn't having any of that. At home, Saji's sister Kinoe has to head to work as things are getting hectic. Luis calls Saji and tells him to watch the news. It seems that the IRA, yes, that IRA, the terrorist one, has thrown down their weapon. This seems to be the doing of Celestial Being. The Ptolemaeus crew watch as HLR leaders give a press conference labeling Celestial Being as a terrorist group after killing 148 soldiers during their attack on Ceylon. We return to Azatistan. This is the nation that took over Setsuna's homeland, Krugis, in 2301. Its government is a constitutional monarchy, which means we got royal bloodlines in this series, yo. We meet the princess, who is watching a revolt from her palace. Her name is Marina Ismail. Their nation is seeking reform. She wants to see if her nation could seek aid from the solar elevator. Her advisor suggests that if turmoil continues, Celestial Being will be there to make their appearance. Sergei is meeting with his commanding officer. He wants him to lead a new task force in charge of trying to capture the Gundam. He allows him to create his own team, with the exception of one person, Soma Paris. She comes from the HLR Super Soldier program. Meanwhile, Setsuna eats a hot dog? It's not a burger. Is that allowed? He daydreams about genocide while he runs into Saji and Luis. At the Union, Graham is meeting with his new team while also checking out his new flag custom. The SVMS-01E, Graham's Union flag custom, is a variant of the Union flag that Graham designed specifically for capturing the Gundam. This unit was made with what little data they had on the Gundam. This unit ignores the restrictions it puts to save the pilot, and thus this unit could go double the speed of a regular flag in flight mode. It also has a high-speed flight mode. We will eventually see Graham take this unit to 12 Gs. The black color isn't just for looks, as this is an anti-beam coating that is applied to the unit. The loadout is the same, except the standard linear rifle is switched with the XLR-04 trial-type linear rifle. On Ptolemaeus, Sumeragi gets 12 missions from Veda to choose from. She mumbles that they are all risky choices. There's a press conference on the news. The nation of Terabia is pulling out of the Union. They are tired of the United States controlling most of the power. At RLM, Sergei and Soma speculate that they are pulling out because if the Union does go to war, they know Celestial Being will come in and intervene. At Azatistan, Marina is envious of Terabia. She notes that Terabia is able to do this because they are close to the solar tower. For the developing nations around the tower, it seems that the closer you are, the more power, money, and geopolitical influence you will have. Relatively speaking, of course. Azatistan could take advantage of this situation. Celestial Being preps for their next mission. The Gundam Meisters are scattered throughout the world right now, but they get the call to head out into their respective Gundams. News is getting out that the Union is authorized to attack Terabia. The Terabian forces are using the Union-made mobile suit, the Rialdo. The VMS-15 Union Rialdo is a transformable mobile suit that was eventually replaced with the Union flag. As this came before the flag, their intentions with this mobile suit was to simply make a superior aircraft first and foremost. However, the Rialdo can't switch between mobile suit and flight mode on the fly and will require maintenance to do so. One must make a choice before they launch. Will they go in mobile suit mode or flight mode? It is equipped with a 20mm machine gun, a defense rod, a linear rifle, a sonic blade, and a rocket launcher. Everyone is watching the news and wondering what side Celestial Being will side with during this conflict. The Terabian forces are attacked. It is Setsuna and the Exia. Lock-On and Alleluia come in as well. They are attacking Terabian forces. Why is this? Celestial Being is designed to eradicate war. The Terabian nation is seceding for the Union, not for the sake of its nation's safety, but because they are trying to incite conflict. They were trying to tip celestial beings' hand, and by doing so, tip their hand towards forcing them to push Terabia back into the Union. Of course, once the attack begins, the Terabian leaders get a hold of the President of the United States and withdraws from attempting to secede from the Union. This is also pretty cool because it establishes early on that the celestial being is not messing around when it comes to agent provocateurs, trolls, or agents of chaos. The celestial beings are not having any of this conflict for conflict's sake nonsense. Now that Terabia is a Union ally once again, the Union sends out forces to help the nation against the Gundams. Specifically, Graham's custom flag goes in and attacks Setsuna. They melee battle for a little bit, but then Exia goes underwater, which flags cannot do. He makes his escape. We go back to Marina, who is in shock. She looked at what Terabia was doing and thought perhaps she could follow suit. And little by little, that is usually how a revolution begins. But celestial beings shut that down quick. So now she and the nation of Zadistan must carefully plan their next move. When you build the entire world on a house of cards and then everyone has an arms race to the top, it is easy for one organization to come in and topple that house. Saji and his sister are watching this all unfold on the news and realizing how insane the world is. And that will do it for this episode. We are only 4 episodes in, but yeah, it seems to be everything I can remember. I could bathe in this political intrigue all day. Much of what we explored throughout the various Gundam universe is the nuanced concept that war is bad, but it has always done so in relatively broad strokes. Here we are getting into the nitty and gritty of the 24th century. All 3 nations are on the verge of war, and the only thing they seem to care about is capturing the Gundam to further their power. Next time, Marina goes to find power, and we meet the creator of Setsuna's former Krugus guerrilla faction, who is now helping out the AEU. But that will do it for this episode, Gundam Meisters. Remember, when it comes to war, it doesn't pay to be a troll. Peace.